So guys, I've been doing a lot of thinking the past couple of days, and it obviously kind of extends beyond the past couple of days to maybe the past couple of weeks and months, about Nintendo and the current situation, and, something that we've all discussed 1,000 times, whether it's online on Twitter or on YouTube. Obviously, myself, I've made videos on this topic, including just this week, and many other YouTubers have all been talking about this for a long time, and it's this ongoing saga of Nintendo's silence. And, as always has to be mentioned, their silence does seem to be very heavily tied to the health situation that the entire planet is dealing with. And so if that's something that Nintendo needs to do, I understand it. A lot of people don't understand it and are still just completely ragefully upset with Nintendo. And honestly, that's on them if they want to act that way. For me, while I'm sad and depressed with Nintendo's silence, I understand it, and I'm willing to allow them as long of a Nintendo Direct silence as they need. Like, I don't need to yell and scream at them, give us a Nintendo Direct, oh my gosh, you have to be doing this. But I do think that there is something that Nintendo needs to do, and needs to do pretty soon. And now I should preface this by stating, when I say that Nintendo needs to do something, this isn't an entitled gamer kind of thing. This isn't a Nintendo, you need to give us a Nintendo Direct on a specific schedule, right when I say, or Nintendo, you need to make this game this way, or you need to change your business for this, that, and the other. It's not that kind of thing just to make me and my little gamer bubble happy. It's more just about the larger consumer base, and also for the sake of operating a good business, and also for the sake of transparency, and even people's safety, if you think about it. And what it is that I think that they need to do sooner rather than later is, at this point, I think that they do need to just address the public at large. They need to come out with, bare minimum, some kind of statement regarding what's going on, right? I mean, it's been stated so many times that even though we don't have confirmation the worldwide health situation is affecting Nintendo, we pretty much know that it is because we can deduce that with our own logic and our own brains. And because of that, coupled with their silence about everything as far as their business, about new games, the 2020 schedule, and Nintendo Directs, I feel like it's time for Nintendo to basically follow suit with every other business in the known civilized world and talk to the public and their consumer base about what's going on, right? I mean, we live in a world where every single gym that you've attended, grocery store you've shopped at, insurance company you've used, auto mechanic you've gone to, whatever crazy retailer you've ever spent money at or given an email to over the past 20 years of your life, you have received emails and updates and Facebook posts and Twitter notifications about them addressing what's going on and saying, hey, we want to talk to you about how we're dealing with this situation to make it safe for our employees and our team members and for our customers and for you, our consumer base. It's affecting our business for XYZ reason. These are the steps that we're taking. We want you to know that we know it's happening and we're all working around this thing. And that also includes plenty of video game companies doing this. The ESA has obviously addressed it by canceling E3. Ubisoft has talked about it. Square has talked about it. Bethesda has talked about it. I think Sony and Microsoft might have addressed it somewhere as well. Don't quote me on that. And if they haven't, they definitely should too. But the point, and there's a litany of other video game companies. Sega has talked about it. Like, people are addressing the fact that this is happening. It's affecting their business. They want to be safe for their employees and the customers. And hey, we're all in this together. We need to get through this first, right? So everyone has been messaging to their customers and their consumers about this situation and it affecting their business. We, myself, you guys out there, gamers and game fans and Nintendo fans, are all the customers and consumer base of Nintendo, the company. And so Nintendo, at this point, coming up on 4 months into the year, with a silence longer than we've ever seen from you, it's not time that you give us a Nintendo Direct or give us these video games that we want. But I think it's at least time that you talk to us about this situation and the fact that it seems pretty clear it's affecting your business. If you think about it, it's really just the right thing to do, only partly because every other company in the world has been doing this via emails and Twitter statements and whatnot, press releases or whatever the case. It's the right thing to do because people need to know what's going on, and I think that it would be silly, even though it's very much a Nintendo thing to do. This is the stubborn side of Nintendo, the way I'm seeing things. I think that what we're seeing is Nintendo being stubborn and wanting to just not talk about something that isn't pristine, crystal clean, you know? They never want to talk about the grimy, gritty, real world aspects of conducting business when things go wrong or things aren't perfect or they have to address a problem or a mistake. Nintendo doesn't really do that, with the rare exception. And when they do it very silently, and they usually let other third-party outlets cover that information. They really never address us, their fans and their customers, their paying customers. They don't really address us. If they're not talking to us saying, hey, look at this great product, look at this great thing we've made, look at this thing you can buy and give us money for, look at this Nintendo Direct you can watch. If they're not talking about those things, they won't talk to us. Only those things will they talk directly to us, because it's about benefiting their bottom line, the way I see it. With this situation, I think that, I hate to say it this way, but being real, I think they have a bit of an obligation and a responsibility to talk to the world about what's going on, just as a business conducting business and trying to be transparent to their consumers. I love the fact that so many other video game companies are willing to talk to us like people and adults and say, hey, this is what's going on. It sucks. We're trying to be safe and we'll get through it, you know? And when we get through it, we're going to keep doing what we can to make things good for you guys or whatever. Like, that's like, it's almost these companies kind of respecting you and I, the way they're willing to talk to us. Nintendo continuing to be totally silent. And again, this isn't just about, you know, oh my God, give us a Nintendo Direct. It's not really about that. Even though I want that, and we were hoping that this week was going to be the time to see a Nintendo Direct, and while it's still possible to see one this week, it seems more and more likely that maybe it isn't going to happen, despite what a lot of us wanted to think. I think that beyond the whole Nintendo Direct thing, I think that there's a bit of a responsibility, given the nature of this current situation, to talk to us about what's going on. Like, it's not a crazy thing. Even though, like I said, Nintendo never does that. They have such an old world kind of approach to these things, where they just don't think maybe that they need to talk to their consumers in such a transparent, face-to-face way. But I think that, A, more often than not, you should do that. And B, if any time ever demanded a time to do it, it's this time. With the exception of, if we think about it, guys, with the exception of the Metroid Prime 4 delay, Nintendo really never talks to us that way, unfortunately. I mean, that was the only instance where Nintendo was like, hey, we need to address you, and address you as adults, and address you as our customers and our consumer base, and be transparent with you about something that's not positive. This is a not good thing we have to tell you. So let's get one-on-one, and we're going to tell you, hey, things haven't been good behind the scenes. We're changing our business around the release and development of Metroid Prime 4. Here's what we're doing. We're sorry, but we're going to give you something great once it's ready to be given to you, and so just look forward to info in the future. I mean, I think that's the only time Nintendo has ever been willing to talk to us about something that isn't, again, polished to a perfect sheen before they presented it to us in some kind of message or video or whatever. That was the one time. And granted, that was around, you know, the sequel to my favorite game of all time, so that was a hard thing to deal with, but at least it was transparent. And most of us were willing to be like, hey, at least they're telling us what's going on. Thank you, Nintendo, for being honest. And it sucks, but we're willing to wait because you told us what's happening. And so I don't know, man. I mean, you know, Nintendo's my favorite company. The Switch is my favorite console. That's no secret. You guys know that about me. And I still think Nintendo's great. Like, this isn't about, oh my God, they're terrible. But when companies, I think, are doing things wrong, or they make mistakes, or need to do some things better, we have to talk about that. You know, I've done it with plenty of companies throughout the year, you know, EA and Sony and Microsoft and Ubisoft and Nintendo in the past as well. And this is an instance where what we're going through is so unique. It is such a big deal. It is so important. And we know that it's affecting Nintendo's business. And I think that most of us, even the people who are probably really just can't separate themselves from reality and are just like, you know, volcanically yelling anger and vitriol at people because they're so upset with Nintendo being silent for so long, I think a large majority of even those people will be willing to calm down and be like, okay, like, at least you've told us what's going on. Like, it's not a get out of jail free card, but it is a nice pass for Nintendo to be able to be silent and take their time if they're at least willing to tell us what's going on. I guess there's that 1 in a trillion chance, and I mean a trillion, 1 in a trillion chance that Nintendo has been quiet and slow on 2020 updates, not because of the health situation. Maybe it's a part of their plan and they always intended for 2020 to be this way, regardless of the health situation. Yeah, that's a 1 in a trillion chance that that's the case. But let's be real, you guys. We know that that's not what's happening. We just know it. We're all smart enough. You are smart enough. I'm smart enough to know that that's not why Nintendo's been quiet. They've been quiet on updates and information and press releases and Nintendo Directs and game announcements because the health situation is affecting their business. And that's fine, Nintendo. It's okay. You're allowed that. No one's saying you can't have this time if you need it because of what's going on. But for the love of all that is Mario, tell us that that's what's happening. Every other company in the free freaking world has been doing this. Why are you the one guys who are just not willing to tell people what's happening? I love Nintendo to death. They're amazing, but they are so frustrating when it comes to this stuff. And right now, yeah, I'm frustrated. So these are my thoughts. Not really much more to say on that. It's not a fancy, flashy video. I don't even know if I'm going to have any, gameplay or Nintendo Direct footage cut here. I don't really think that this video needs it. It's just going to be me talking to you on camera. This is just a situation that is what it is. And again, we love Nintendo. I love Nintendo. I don't need them to give me stuff right away. The only thing I think that I need from them is just an honest and transparent message. Just communicate something. I think that that's acceptable to ask for, given the circumstances, right? It's not being an entitled gamer demanding things to be, my way or your way. That's not what it is. It's just communication. It's just transparency. It's normal. It's been the standard so far, and Nintendo is one of the few companies that seems to be just ignoring it outright. And I think it's bordering on disrespectful to the fan base, right? I mean, does that feel right? Fair to say? I think that that's a fair thing to say. It's almost disrespectful. Show us that you respect us by talking about what's going on. No one's going to be mad at you for talking about it, Nintendo. So I don't know why you're keeping it quiet. We know Japan has been hit very hard. The States has been hit very hard. It is what it is. So anyway, these are my thoughts. What do you guys think about this? Do you think that I'm way off base? Do you think that I am coming off as an entitled gamer kind of person and a demanding person? Or do you think that this makes sense and this is maybe a fair thing for a lot of us to want from this company that we love so much? Yeah, tell me what you think. And with that, this video is a wrap. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.